It is my honor and pleasure today to speak to you about the poetry of Dr. Balram Shukla, my friend and one of the most esteemed Sanskrit poets of the day. I have personally known Dr. Shukla for many years now through our mutual love for classical poetry, though we haven't actually met in person yet. Uh, Ordinarily, it must be said that an hour-long speech on contemporary Sanskrit poetry is quite a daunting task, both for the listener and the speaker. Uh, as a prominent contemporary poet has said, uh, आधुनिकं संस्कृतं साहित्यं परब्रह्मवत् किमपि अनिर्वचनीयं वस्तु. But with Dr. Shukla, the situation is very different, as you will see. There is enough material there to speak for several hours and keep the audience quite entertained. Now, to give you a very brief introduction of Dr. Balram Shukla. Dr. Balram Shukla is an assistant professor of Sanskrit at the University of Delhi. And he is currently a research fellow at NIAS in Shimla, where he's working on understanding aspects of Prakrit poetry that contributes to its poetic beauty. And in 2013, he received the prestigious Badrayan Vyas Award from the President of India. And he has authored 9 books in Hindi, Sanskrit, and Persian. Of this, 2 are collections of Sanskrit poetry, Parivahaha, and another one is Kavita Putrika Jatihi. And one must also say that it's really quite easy to be the biggest tree in one's own backyard. But Dr. Shukla has been invited to Iran several times, where he has presented his Persian poetry together with the best exponents of the living tradition today. And this really speaks a lot more about his facility with that language than I can, who does not know that language. And as for Sanskrit and Prakrit, we will see examples of that today. And before we start, I want to state a few words of caution. There's an unfortunate tendency amongst critics today to uncritically describe all contemporary Sanskrit as equally wonderful, simply due to the fact that they're all composed in Sanskrit. And this leads to the peculiar situation where you can read several books on contemporary Sanskrit, but still not have a clue about who actually the good writers are. So at the very outset, there's a disclaimer that my assessment of our poet here is not colored by the same phenomenon. His writing truly is exquisite. So I have about 40 verses of Dr. Shukla here on my screen right now. And I'm not really sure how many of these we will be able to go through today. But each one of these is absolutely exquisite, and it would have merited the attention of, say, Vidyakara or the author of Sharangdara Paddhati or any of these old collections. And as we will see, though perfectly capable of writing in the same sort of classical Sanskrit that the old authors did, Balram Shukla has found himself a new idiom that he probably makes by combining elements of Prakrit, Persian, and I don't know what else. That is, his secret recipe is quite opaque to us. But there is something quite different about this that is difficult to place a finger on. And I hope that we shall not have to do the usual exercise of tabulating what rasas, alankaras, and meters the poet uses, because this is something that can quite easily be done in one's spare time and also does not really serve too much of a purpose. Instead, we shall try to go through all of these and try to identify what is different about Balram Shukla and generally try to enjoy the best of his verses. So this is more or less a random collection of verses taken from all of his works. And so the first of his works is Parivahaha. So Parivahaha is an outflow. So Sarovaram Paripurya Samadhika Jalasya Vahanam. So in some sense, it is an outpouring of his own mind that has spilt onto paper. And it's a very beautiful word to keep for a book. And several of these verses are from that. And the second book, Kavita Putrika Jatihi, treating his poetry as his daughter. And there are several verses here that talk about his poetry as his daughter, and we will see that as well. So one of the verses that is, there is also several poems that are talking about poetry itself, specifically about his poetry. So one of these verses is Mugdhanam, Abudhanam, Arasanam, Athacha Vitaraganam, Madhye Bhramati Hatasha, Mama Kavitaisha Chirakumari. So my kavita, my poetry, which who's like my daughter, unfortunately, the only suitors available to her are men who are either inexperienced with poetry or who are not really very learned, or those who do not have any taste, and not finding anybody suitable, she still is unmarried to anybody. So I hope that, I mean, I can assure Dr. Shukla that there is at least one suitor, that is me, and I hope that many of you will also be convinced after you see these verses. And the next one is, you can see, Jignasamane kavyartham patitva kavitam mama asam artho ayamevasti yadetaf patitastvaya. So this is a Shringara Padya. The vast majority of the verses that you will hear today, I think, are all Shringara. Now, I'm not sure whether this is because Dr. Shukla has a particular penchant for Shringara, or I do, or it may just be the nature of all three languages, which all seem to favor Shringara, but that's what it is. So here, this is being addressed to a girl. It says, you're reading my verses and you want to know what the point of them is. Well, you read them. That was the point. So there's no more reason to actually ponder the meaning of these verses, because the point was that you read them, and now you have. So the meaning is fulfilled. And you can, the interesting linguistic peculiarity here is the word jignasamane. Now, in Sanskrit, you don't usually see these present participles used as sambodhanas. It's exceedingly rare. But in Prakrit, it is exceedingly common. In the Satyasai, you will see this in a lot of places. And in works that derive directly from the Satyasai, for instance, the Arya Saptashati of Govardhana, you see this as well. And so Balram Shukla has also adopted this. It's a very nice technique, though probably not very common in Sanskrit. This verse also reminds me of a very beautiful verse from Bihari's Satyasai, where a man who's far away from his lover wants to write a letter to her, and he begins to write something down, but he's in such a daze that he sends her a blank piece of paper without actually writing anything on it. And then she receives it, and then she's in such a daze that she reads that blank piece of paper, but she doesn't realize that there was nothing on it, and it was as if she actually read something. So once again, the point of sending a letter is the fact that the letter was sent and not what the letter actually contained, similar to this verse. The next verse, Yadiyati pitrun urdhvam adho nyukto jalanjalihi prapnoti adhaha priyamurdhvam chandre chumbanam arpitam. So this is a new twist on this very old idea that you see both in the Ramayana and in the Satyasai, that separated lovers can somehow get in touch with each other by looking either at the same moon, the one moon in the sky, or through the wind which blows from place to place. And the Vahi Vatayatah Kanta, the famous verse. So this is a new twist on that. So it says that if the offering that we make to the ancestors, Pitrun Urdhvam Adhonyapto, the ancestors who are up in the sky, but we give them an offering, the offering is given downwards, but somehow it still manages to reach the forefathers in the sky. So when this is the case, then surely if I blow a kiss to the moon, then it should be able to reach my lover who's on the ground. Prapnoti adhaha priyam urdhvam chandre chumbanam arpitam. These are two muktakas, but the two works of Balram Shukla also contain several poems which have one theme, but several muktakas containing the same theme. And these are all quite exquisite, and sometimes they have a refrain as well, one word which being repeated. We will see some of that. And this has quite a wonderful effect. This is not seen very commonly in Sanskrit, but where it occurs, it has a very powerful effect. For instance, in the Kama Gita or Kshemendra's refrain about Kim Taya Mudha Vidyaya, Kim Taya Shuka Vidyaya, so that sort of thing. And Balram Shukla does this as well. It has a wonderful effect. And here we see I've extracted two verses from this particular collection called Nitilatate Patira Charcha. And here you can see what the poet is trying to say is that when he has his beloved, there is no reason for any kind of religiosity. It becomes completely irrelevant because everything can be found in her. And this is definitely Persian influence. So Nitilatate Patira Charcha. Now I've left out for some reason the best of this collection of verses. So the best verse actually says that being separated from you, I have grown so thin and weak that you can see every vein and nerve on my body. And these striations of veins and nerves running through my body, running on my skin, are themselves a yagnopavita of sort. So they themselves are a sacred sacred thread of sorts. So what is the need for me to wear a sacred thread now? And so he continues in this vein. Udyukto viraha shikhi sharira dahe kim kuryat vadata punas shikhaika deshe sampurne vapushi sutupta chumbanayam mudrabhir vada kimu shankachakra mudraha. So my entire body is aflame, wanting you. So when this viraha shikhi, this flame of separation is burning inside me, then what is the need for me to wear one shikha on my head on one place? My entire body is full of these shikhas, flames. Then he goes on to say that my entire body has found the imprint of your hot kisses, sutapta chumbanayam. So what is really the necessity for me to now go get a tapta mudra, as some Vaishnavas do, the markings of Shankha and Chakra on their body? Your hot kisses themselves are those mudras for me. This phrase sutapta chumbanayam is beautiful and also quite alien to Sanskrit. Now, of course, in English it is quite natural to say hot kisses, but we do not know where the poet got this from. Maybe Persian, maybe English, probably Persian. But as you can see, this is working on with some idioms that Sanskrit does not usually use, and it has a fantastic impact on the reader. Doing this successfully is extremely difficult when a modern Sanskrit poet broadly has two paths. Either you can choose to follow the tradition that has been set for us from the time of the Ramayana, Kalidasa, and so on, and try to compete with the best of the past, which is really quite daunting, considering that everything that can be done within the boundaries that have been set has pretty much done. So there's not really too much room to expand. And some like Dr. Shankar Rajaraman, who is listening today, have done this exceedingly well. The other path is to carve out a little space for yourself by creating a new idiom. And this is while there's more room to expand, this is much more difficult to do because for one, if you're trying to do something new, it is possible that your reader might simply not understand you. Readers of any language are accustomed to a certain set of ideas and they anticipate these ideas when they read something. But if you're trying to do something new, your reader may never understand you. So it's that fine line between trying to be novel but not so novel that your reader thinks it's something extremely strange. But this is extremely novel, but I think any reader of Sanskrit will understand what is being said. It's truly fantastic. The next one, Sandrishte Shashi Shishire Mukhe Tvadiye Kim Kuryam Gagana Gathasya Tasya Pujam Akke Chen Madhu Labhate Tada Kimartham Shailan Ko Vrajatu Tadeva Labdhu Kamaha. So when I have your face to see, your moon-like face, then what is really the what reason do I have to pay homage to the moon? When when honey is available in your backyard, there's really no reason to visit the mountain. This similarly, another set of verses all structured around one theme is this set called Vayam Kepi Kavayaha. This is an extraordinary set of verses, really. And if we were to believe that Kavyam Yashase Arthakrute, then I have no doubt that this particular set of verses is going to bring Dr. Shukla both great glory and hopefully a lot of financial gain as well, because one of the crowning glories of his two books. It is just a sort of introspection on what it means to be a poet, and uh, about how special poets are. This is a poem that really resists translation, but we can still see what it's trying to say. Vayam te kasturi harina grihinam vamsha vibhava samantat sivyanta swaparimala sutrair dashadisham gunanam no yesham divija kusumais tolana vidhau bhavantas tvanyonyam vidadhati vivadan anudinam. So we poets, we are born of we are the essence of the musk deer, and we build new worlds. We Sivyantaha Swaparimala Sutrair Dashadisham. So we build the world, or we build all the directions using our fragrance as threads. And we leave it to you to debate amongst yourself about who is who is greater. Is it us poets? Is it we poets, or is it Divija Kusumaha? Is it, or are they or divine flowers? Which who actually has the greater fragrance? Who's more beautiful? We will leave it to you to decide. And the next one of that, Bhavanto Vagdevi Nayana Patita Panga Prushatas Trishavanto Vrushtye Nibiditakara Yachanapara Vayam Dhanyas Tanyam Mruta Rasa Samardra Dharaputa Tadutsange Sthitva Vivida Vidhibik Kridana Krutau. We poets, we sit on Saraswati's lap, and we drink from her breasts, whereas the rest of the world, it can only cup its hands, and it can sort of wait, that hoping that Saraswati will show her grace and send a shower of her blessings, something like that. But anybody who knows Sanskrit will immediately recognize how well structured this is, and the impact that it has. Another verse, perhaps we will skip this Bahula Vishaya Vega. Atyantam marmikam idam padyam, parantu samaya bhavat idanim tanna pashyamaha. Another one, as we saw in the previous word, he had very beautifully used Arke chain Madhu Vindeta. Here we will see another Sthuna Nikhanana Nyaya that has been used in a Shringara Padya. Prativado Visamvadaha Samvada iti bhuyasa Sthuna Nikhanana Nyayat Premanau Hridi Badhyate. So here now is a man and a woman. It is through debates, disagreements, and reconciliation that love grows in our hearts. And in what way? In the way of Sthuna Nikhanana. So this is a Nyaya, that if you want to bolster some argument, then you have to pull out the pole. If you want to put a pole quite firmly into the ground, you have to pull it out, and then put it back in, and then pull it out, and then put it back in, and then add some more mud and make it firm. So that is Sthuna Nikhanana Nyaya. So in the same way, disagreements and reconciliation in this way are a sort of putting the sthuna in and removing it and making it stronger. So that's what love is. And then this verse is about about his own reflections about what his poetry is, what his poetry means to him. युवत्वे मम संजाता वार्धक्ये युवतांगता कवितां पुत्रिकामेव कथन न कथये पराम. She was born when I was young, and she becomes young, or she turns into a young lady when I get old. So how can my poetry not be like another daughter to me? Then let's go to a Prakrit verse. This is extremely beautiful as well. Before we read our first Prakrit verse, I want to say a few things about the Prakrit of our poet. In India, broadly, we can see two kinds of Prakrit writers. I mean, of old. These days, there are hardly any authors in Prakrit. One is the tradition that follows the Prakrit of the Satyasai and the tradition that produced it. And this you see quite often in the Jains, especially in Western India. So, for instance, most of the works that have been published in the Singhi series or the Prakrit Text Society series, they all follow this model. And this is distinguished not just by the phonological changes that Prakrit has, but also certain idioms that you see only in Prakrit and not in Sanskrit. And we will see that Dr. Shukla uses some of these idioms. Then there is this other Prakrit which some authors use, for instance, Ramapanivada, or the authors who wrote in Kavindra Chandrodaya. This is, of course, morphologically, phonologically, it's Prakrit, and it also follows the grammarians quite well. But these idioms that make Prakrit are completely absent. So you can very easily translate them into Sanskrit and not lose anything at all. Dr. Shukla clearly, I think, belongs to the other tradition, the older tradition. I'm not sure whether this is his conscious decision, but it's very obvious from his writings. And personally, I feel that it is the better approach. We will see examples of that. Gahiya bahu sattha sara subahuna mahamai uvajjhaya piyaneha chattasale kakkagham mauvam padhai गृहीता बहुशास्त्र सारा सुबहूनां मम मति उपाध्याया प्रिय स्नेह शालायां काक्कघ मातृकां पठति. So I have learned all the shastras that are there to be learned, and I am a teacher to a good many students, but still in love I'm still only learning kakkagha from my lover. That's what it is. Another one. Marahatthim rasamano homitaha harisaviyasi yakavolo jahame jaya sankai hiethiya majhakavi marahathi. This is a play on Marathi, Maharashtri, both as a woman and as the language Maharashtri. Maharashtrim rasamanaha bhavami tatha harsha vikasita kapolaha yatha me jaya shankate hridaye sthita mama kapi Maharashtri. I am so besotted with this Maharashtri, this language Maharashtri, and my cheeks are completely aglow whenever I read her, that my wife surely must be thinking that I must have some Maharashtri in my mind. Another thing to note here is Harisaviyasiya Kabolo. So this is an echo of a very beautiful verse in the Satyasai. So as I was saying, this Harsha Vikasita Kapola is a throwback, is an echo of a very famous Satyasai verse. Anna Saai Denti Tahasuraye Harisaviyasi Yakavola Ghosevi Onahamuhi Ahasetti Piyamna Saddahimo. So the same girl who gave me 100 commands in bed last night, her face aglow with pleasure. I can hardly believe that it is she who now has her head bowed down in the morning. So that same phrase has been used. Another one, Kulajai Viriya Vijja Madaha Madaphara Chikhilla Maila E Ujjaliyam Mama Chittam Nehanahi Pura Dho Ae. So I was completely muddied with all these things, like thoughts of my noble birth, my bravery and arrogance, my great arrogance, amadaha, madaphara, both Deshi words. Amadaha is analpa, madaphara, arrogance, and my vidya. All these things, I was muddied by all of these thoughts. And then it was finally that love rescued me, because the minute I entered the river of love, all of this was washed away. Sneha Nadhi Pura Dhautayaha. Another one, this is very beautiful, and it plays on the words Prakrita and Sanskrita and Apabhramsha. Chatta Sakkayavatta Pauva Maggovi Maggiyo Hetto Nitthura Tujja Sinehe Sittham Avahattamet Tamme. So this is very Satyasai kind of verse, where it's very common for a woman to address her lover in this way, quite angrily. Tyakta Samskrita Varta Prakrita Margopi Margito Hetto. Hetto is Deshi word, Adhaha. Nishthura Tavas Snehe Shishtam Apabhramsha Matram Me. So the Samskrita Varta Tyakta. So I cannot talk to you with refined words. That phase is done. And the talking normally without the adornments of love, Prakrita Margopi Margito Hettu. So that too has been now denounced, because you have cheated me at every step. Nishthura Tujjasinehe Hettam Avahatta Mattam Me. So now all that remains is Apabhramsha. There is only downfall left. There is nothing else that remains in our love. There are also several very, very beautiful verses on Krishna that Dr. Shukla has written. I do not know. Perhaps Krishna is his Ishta Devata. Jamnavayam Pekhamo Bollamo Jamna Jamna Bhojemo Jenanava Nachamo Kimkarimo Tena Dev Vena. So what use has that got to us? Kim Kurmaha Tena Daivena, whom we cannot see. Yamnavayam Prekshamahe. Jamna Bollamo, to whom we cannot speak, and whom we cannot feed, and with whom we cannot dance, then what is the point of that God? And there are two more verses that we will see soon, where Krishna is being described as an Indra Nilamani, and there's some chamatkara there. We will see that soon. And to come back to Sringara, Tavanandamayi drishtis tatha krita manomayam tanurannamayi jata mama pranamayi yatha. So when you cast your glance at me, this is addressed to a girl. So when you cast your glance at me, which was Anandamayi, your glance which was so full of love, Anandamayi. Of course, I'm doing very loose translations here because it's difficult to translate these things literally into English, but I'm sure you all understand. So when you cast that glance of yours at me, Tanur Annamayi Jata Mama Pranamayi Yatha. Suddenly this body of mine, which is made of these insentient atoms, Annamayi, it was as if it was after your glance that life had been breathed to it. So till you cast that glance at me, it was as if I had been dead all along. Then I have a couple of verses here, which all end in the refrain Yet Svalpamapi Tadbahu. It must be familiar to all of you, that famous verse about Yet Svalpamapi Tadbahu Akrutva Parasantapam Agatva Khalanamratam Anutsrujya Satam Vartma Yet Svalpamapi Tadbahu. So possibly deriving from that, the poet has written several verses using this as the refrain, and each of them is this is a real gem. We'll only go through a couple of these. त्वल्लावण्याम्बुधौ स्नात्वा स्थित्वा त्वद्वदनेन्द्वभि चिन्तितोऽपि हरिः किञ्चित् यत्स्वल्पमपि तद्बहु. After having bathed in the waters of your loveliness, and after having stood in front of your moon-like face, that somehow I can still think of God even a bit. That is really quite an achievement. Yet swalpamapi tadbahu. This it's quite common in Kavya to imagine Lavanya to be a sort of a liquid that you can dive into and that sloshes around. You see this in a lot of places, and poet has again used this here. द्वयोरपि सतो रक्ष्णोस्तारं ते भाषमाणयोः पठित्वावगतं शास्त्रं यत्स्वल्पमपि तद्बहु. Even with your two eyes that talk to me when I look into them, the fact that I still managed to read some shastra at all, that is really quite an achievement. This taram te bhashamanayoho, that I speak, is quite alien to Sanskrit. So we do not know where the poet got this from, but incredible, really has quite an effect. Then the best two verses in my opinion of this set: adrishtva tvanmukham bhojam apitva tvadvachomrutam jivitam tvabhihito bhutva yatsvalpamapi tadbahu. So the fact that without seeing your face and without giving you a kiss, I still managed to live, that itself is quite an achievement. अत्वद्बाहु शिरोधानोऽप्यत्वत् केशनिशागतः सुप्तो त्वत्क्रीड संक्रोडो यत्स्वल्पमपि तद्बहु. The next verse, a Prakrit verse, is one of my favorite verses because it thinks about the chaya in a way that nobody has till now. Chaya is of course something that the chaya of Prakrit is something that people who work with Prakrit think about every day, but nobody has thought of writing a verse on it. It's exceedingly beautiful. I maintain a list of verses that I update whenever I find a nice verse while reading any kavya, and I usually tag them with various words to help me locate them later. And I have one section called Sublime, which has probably about 20 verses at the minute. So best of the best, and this is one of them. Pekhanta sappurisa dhanna pavammi sakkaya chayam sirantammi sarire nicham nichappa tachamba. प्रेक्षमाणा सत्पुरुषाः धन्याः प्राकृते संस्कृतच्छायां शीर्यमाणे शरीरे नित्यं नित्यात्मा तत्वमिव. So only a few blessed people can actually see the Sanskrit that underlies the Prakrit. In the same way that only a few blessed people can see the truth of the eternal Atman that lives inside us, even as this external body wears away with time. The idea that Sanskrit is this eternal basis for language, and even though with time it has the externals have worn away, resulting in Prakrit and Apabhramsha, but the eternal Sanskrit is somehow still visible, and that is what these people bring out in the form of the chaya. It's very beautiful in when looked at through the lens of the mythology that we have constructed for Sanskrit and Prakrit, though it may not be to the liking of descriptive linguists. Then we come to these two verses that I had mentioned about Krishna as a sapphire. Tellokahi mahagham lahiyum maggantaram alahiyuna appana vikkiyunam keenamo kanhani lamanim. Trailokat mahargham labdhva margantaram labdhum margantaram alabdhva atmanam vikriya Krinamaha Krishna Nilamani. So we want to buy this sapphire called Krishna, but it is so expensive. It is perhaps the most valuable thing in the world, and we give up everything that we have trying to get this sapphire called Krishna. But that too is not enough. We give away all our possessions, but that too is not enough. So finally we have to sell ourselves, we have to give ourselves up, and that is the only way that you can get the sapphire called Krishna. Another one, very very beautiful. Lobhad varatikanam vikretum takram anisha takram anisham atantinam हस्तेषु वल्लवीनां पतितो दिष्ट्या महेंद्र नीलमणि. So these poor gopikas, they roamed the streets of the village just for a few cowries, just for a few pennies, varatikanam, lobha, selling their buttermilk. But lucky them, what they actually ended up getting was this priceless Mahendra Nilamani, he called Krishna. They wanted just pennies, but they actually ended up with this thing that is more priceless than anything else. Jai, then this one. Jaineham na palivya hiyayapaive nirantaram desi havau virahandar rai paivata kena volina. There's sort of a play on words here on Paiva, which can either be Pradeepa or Pratipa. So this is being said by a girl. So if you think my heart to be a lamp where the oil is affection, then if you do not give me that affection, then how will I pass the nights of separation? So it is the affection that you pour into the lamp of my heart that allows me to spend these nights of separation, and without that I shall just be lost in the darkness, something like that. Then we see the next verse. This is another play on words, and these verses really tell us that when Balram Shukla is writing in Prakrit, he is not affecting this Sanskrit to Prakrit transformation in his head. Really, he is truly writing in Prakrit, because these things will not translate into Sanskrit. And also a lot of the Shabda Alankara that he creates in Prakrit are specific to Prakrit. You cannot translate them into Sanskrit. Pasarantam Janavaam Varesu imam Tuhanga Anapiye Siyava Haranakamme Dahamuha Bahahi Sama Sisi. So this is again being said to a girl. Priye Prasarantam Janavadam Varaya imam tava anganam priye Sitapaharana karmani or Shitapaharana karmani dashamukha baha bhihi samasisi. This is a play on Siya, which can mean Shita or Sita. And we know that it's very common in poetry, that the idea that in winter the touch of the beloved warms you up, and in the summer it cools you. So please, we need to somehow dispel this rumor that seems to be spreading in the town, that your limbs can compete with Ravana's limbs in seizing Sita. Of course, this doesn't make any sense when you take the meaning to be Sita, but when you read it as Shita, then it makes sense. So Shita Apaharana Karmani. So it warms you up. Her touch warms you up. So that's the idea. Then we come to the verse that I was referring to some time ago when I was talking to Dr. Shukla. Gejjagunam rasiyehim नियकव्वं नेय गायामो अवि लोहनिज्ज सळहिज्जन्तेन पुत्तगुणा गेयगुणं रसिकैः निजकाव्यं नैव गायामः अपि लोक लोभनीया श्लाघ्यन्तेन पुत्रगुणाः. So he's saying that even though I know that my poetry is good, Geya Guna Rasikehi. So those who have taste will know that they will appreciate my poetry. Nijakavyam Naiva Gavamo. So it's up to those who read my poems. I'm not going to praise my poems myself, like Panditaraja Jagannatha did. Because even though your son may be quite extraordinary, you cannot go about the town praising him on the streets. That is something that others have to do for you. This the next verse I like quite a lot. This is again an idea that Sanskrit poets would probably usually not have thought about. कल्पस्यादे रद्य यावत् स्फुलिंगम झंझात् त्रासात् त्रातमेतन् मया यत् दिष्ट्याद्यत्वे तीक्ष्ण दावायमानं सर्वं मेतद् भस्मसाद् वष्टीकर्तुम्. So right from the start, this spark of love that I secretly guarded in my heart, somehow protecting it from all the from every breeze and wind. And today that has grown into a blazing wildfire, that spark of love, and it threatens to consume me whole. Then the next one, Purvam prema mayavasthadidanim jataavasthah premi varte nitantam bhojyam peyam श्वास्य वास्यादि मत्स्याः तोयं तोयमेवास्ति तोयम्. So Purvam prema mai avasthat. So before, in the beginning, it was love that was in me. When we first met, it was love that was in me, and now that love has grown larger and larger, to the point that it is not love that is in me, but it is I who is in love. It is I who am drowning in love. And in the same way that if you ask a fish, what is it that it eats, what is it that it drinks, what is it that it breathes, it will say water, 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 toyam, toyam, toyam. And love is that to me. It is everything. It is everything to me. Kavvam padihap puriyam javana saddehi sangaam karimo tava khudukkai hiyaye piyapattam via anuttariyam. This is an experience that probably everybody who writes any sort of poetry has. Very, very beautiful. Kavyam pratibhas puritam yavatna shabdaihi sangatam kurmaha tavat shalyayate hridaye priya praptam priya patram iva anuttaritam. So when you have an idea that this is something that you want to pen, till you actually manage to put it into words, there's always something that keeps gnawing at you from the inside. And that is in the same way that you send a letter to your lover, Priya Patram, but you never get a response. So till you get a response, there's always something inside you that troubles you. Khudukkai hiyaye. So this khudukkai is a Deshi word. Many people explain this in many ways. Dr. Shukla himself has given the chaya as khatat karoti, but I have seen shalyayate in other places. Khatat karoti does seem like it could be the actual Sanskrit equivalent. Then another one which is playing on words, Prathama, Dvitiya and Tritiya. Sohagginina Parhama Biya ino Uvosiya Ajja Makavi ho Taya no I Maggai Chauthimsa. So this is a girl's prayer. She says she is Saubhagyavati Nam Prathama. So she is the foremost amongst women who love her husband, and she is also her Dvitiya. She is also his wife. And her prayer to the Chaturthi, the Chaturthi moon, is that Ma Kavi Ho Taiya. So may there never be a third between us. It should just be me and him. And may there never be a third between us. So this nice play on Prathama, Dvitiya, Tritiya, and Chaturthi. Then Navanita Nibhe Tenge Baddha Drishtirna Sarpati Yatamanopi Bahudha Yatha Hir Masrune Tale. So your body is like butter, and the minute my gaze lands on it, it's as if it can't move. It finds no traction to move. So the minute I see you, there's really nothing else that I can see again. My gaze is stuck on you. And in the same way that if you put a snake on a smooth floor, then it can't move. There's no traction for it. So my gaze is like that. This is reminiscent of a very nice Sattasai verse as well. It says that Jassa Jahimchiya Padhamam Tissa Angammi Nivadiya Ditti Tassa Tahimcheyathiya Savangam Kena Vina Dittam Yasya Yatraiva Prathamam Tasyaha Ange Nipatita Drishtihi Tasya Tatraiva Sthita Sarvangam Kenapina Drishtam. So wherever the eye first falls, on whichever part of her body the eye first falls, that's where it stays, because nobody can bear to take their eyes off her. So nobody really knows her in all her beauty. Everybody only knows only a small fraction of her beauty, something like that. And then we come to the last three verses. Atmaja Kavita Kamam Palita Hridaya Srija Vrajanti Gehamanyasya Kathamesha Nivaryatam. Of course, the meaning of this is, I think, quite clear. Let's just move on. Vayam tadiha balaka yadapi matu ranke sthita samuccha kucha nirgalat sarasa dugdha saraplute tathapi krumikachare grunita putaki lalake manoharati santatam kwachina kardame kriditum. He's saying that we children, vayam tadiha balaka, we are sitting on our mother's laps, and it's really quite comfortable there. There's no reason to move, but still our mind wants. But still, what we want is to go play in the mud, muddy ourselves a bit, and do all of these things. That's what the mind wants. And I'm not really very clear what the poet is trying to say. What this Anyukti is for. But I think sometimes that is really what the magic of this kind of poetry is, where it's not really very clear what the poet is trying to say, but that really opens up so many possibilities, because everybody can think about it in their own way. Then we shall end with a very cute verse that the poet has written about his daughter. There are several verses that he has written about his daughter. This is the best one. Aham cha mama putri cha granthanam rasika vubhau yatha me patane pritis tathasya patane ruchihi. So both my daughter and I, we both love books. The difference is I like to read them, patana, and she likes to tear them, patana. So with this, we come to the end of the verses that I have on Dr. Balram Shukla's collection. And just some final comments that I want to make. The first is that though it may not be evident to those who do not think along these lines regularly, synthesizing a new idiom for oneself, as he has done, is an exceedingly difficult task, especially synthesizing an idiom that readers can actually understand. This has been spectacularly successful, and probably the only other poet whom I can think of who has done this successfully is Shatabdani Ganesh, who also has been featured in this series. And this is something that I think all poets should think about, namely the fact that deriving from multiple sources for their own poetry is something that is going to be extremely fruitful. What Dr. Shukla has done has probably become possible in large measure because he can draw from several classical traditions and adapt them for Sanskrit. Whereas those who only read Sanskrit or Sanskrit from Sanskritic traditions, it is not so easy to actually write something new because the mind tends to follow the same old grooves that have been that it has read in poets of the past. So with this, I think I conclude what I have to say.